welcome back to Raiders of the Lost Archive, the Mitford podcast. I'm Lyn.
And I'm Judith.
And we're absolutely thrilled that you're joining us at our virtual campfire as we're about to blow the dust off the insane story of the Mitford sisters.
We guarantee the most in-depth coverage on the Mitford sisters available anywhere on the internet, here at Raiders of the Lost Archive. So, pop on those headphones and let's get ready to raid the Lost Archive.
So what do we have today, Judith?
Well, episode 2, of course.
So the title of episode 2 of the Britbox show Outrageous is called Girl on the Rebound. And on the rebound she is. So
She definitely is.
Shall we jump right in?
Yes. Let's.
So
It kicks off with Nancy, of course, greeting us, welcoming us, introducing us, and kind of bringing us back into sort of what happened last time. So we see the breakfast table.
It is December 1932. It's Christmas Day.
Yes. And, we don't see the breakfast table. We see the dinner table, which is the same as the breakfast table. And we see the turkey being brought in by one of the staff members. They probably didn't have too many staff members. And Nancy introduces us and says, well, the divorce has hit the family hard, has hit the parents hard, and that Farve, so Father David Mitford, didn't take it too well.
No.
And we get a good look at that, what that looks like. So
the entire family is at the Christmas dinner, except for Nancy, because she is not allowed, because she is the Scarlet Woman.
Diana.
Diana, of course, because of the divorce, she left her husband, and she's the Scarlet Woman, and she is not allowed. So,
nope.
And none of the siblings at this point is married. So this is from the family's point of view, it's a complete failure for everyone.
Absolute disaster. Nancy is 28 at that point.
Yeah, Pamela is a little bit younger.
As the oldest, and then the other ones follow.
Yeah.
Tom, of course, is the only one who's not pressured.
Yeah. So Diana, because this will come up another time in this episode, when Diana says she's about to go to court for the divorce. So at the beginning they say she is divorced now, but then later on we learn that she's not divorced yet. She's separated. And the divorce happens over the course of the episode. So when we look at when we left at the last episode, things apparently happened very quickly. So at the end of last episode, Diana made the decision to leave her husband. And now at the beginning of the next episode, she has left him. And we did not see how she told him. We do not see how she told the family. But she's not invited to Christmas, and that says a lot.
Yeah,
Bummer.
Yes. And we don't even see Brian Guinness anymore. Nothing of that.
Yeah, poor bugger.
Yeah.
So Farve is cutting up the Christmas roast, and he is very angry. He cuts this roast very, very angrily.
The carving knife kind of gets a good go at the turkey.
Yeah. So, and we hear that none of the siblings are allowed to have any contact with Diana. They cannot see her, they cannot talk to her, they cannot visit her. Diana has moved out of the house with Brian. She lives on her own at Eaton Square. We will see this house shortly. She lives nicely. She does not live under the bridge.
So for everybody who doesn't know London, Eaton Square is a nice address.
Yeah. Doesn't get much nicer than that, does it?
No.
So,
definitely not.
Unity picks a fight with Farve, with her father.
Very much
and
so.
She's provoking him on purpose. This is something Unity tended to do. That was her thing. provoking people, triggering some kind of response. So on the rest of the family.
Sorry, do you want to say something how she used to hide underneath the table?
Yeah, this was something that happened, right? Yeah, especially during meal times. She had a thing of provoking her father with table manners. But David had peculiar things about table manners, for example. When you dropped a little bit of sauce on the tablecloth, he would freak out and start shouting. So that was... He was very peculiar, and she knew which buttons to push, and she liked pushing them, and she just didn't care if he shouted at her. So
yeah. So like this was pretty much like almost a thing that happened quite regularly in a way. Like this one was special, of course, because it was about Diana, and then Unity picks almost a political fight with Farve.
Yeah. So in the rest of the family, that is so funny to watch how they try to brush over it. They try to have a normal Christmas dinner and to ignore the fight. And they talk about the Brussels sprouts. Can you hand me the Brussels sprouts?
So the mother, especially Sydney Mitford, she was exactly like the Brussels sprouts and like, oh, look, it's Christmas, let's celebrate.
Yeah.
The other good things.
Yeah, and so this is not the world's best Christmas.
Jessica seemed to be giggling deep inside all the time.
Yeah.
Nancy was just watching and observing.
Yeah. So, but this is interesting that how Unity is presented here, her provocations, because this is very much her character, and this is basically her going off to Germany later on, which we will see in episode 3. This is a gigantic provocation of everything that followed later. So, but this has been a streak in her character that we will see time and again.
Yeah, and that is also the real Unity character.
Yeah. So next scene.
And then sort of like, let's move on.
The next scene surprised me because I did not see this happening, because Hamish is back. And
we had talked about it last time. Yes. And
yes.
you were like, well, let's see if they bring him back at all.
Because this is, how they present it, this is how it happened. He did come back, but I did not expect the show to actually show this. Anyway.
And I mean, but it is not, like, I really liked that. I enjoyed that because it's as much a surprise to the viewers as it is, like, and as it must have been for Nancy.
Yeah.
So.
And in this scene, we do not see Hamish yet. We see Nancy, who is sitting somewhere, and Tom, her brother, he comes in and he tells her he's back. And by the way, he's gay, I think.
He tries to tell her. She challenges him.
Yeah, and then Tom says, at first he's a bit blurry, like, at school, boys go through a phase, it's normal. And she's like, do you know men who have been in bed with Hamish? And he's like, yeah, me. I was in bed with him.
Which is also a big surprise. A big surprise because like I was wondering if they'd sort of like kind of tell that side of this, like if they would tell these details like of him, and like we know, and like you said it in the intro in our first episode, that like we know that he had gay encounters. Yeah, of course, like but like it wasn't quite clear if the series would pick that up. Yeah, and they did.
So this is, and it is true that Tom and Hamish had a thing together when they were at school, and most men of the circle Diana and Nancy were in. Most men, they all went to these schools, and most men had things with men and women at this time. It was the time and the place for this. This was very normal, and as it was very much as Tom depicts us in the scene, like this is a phase, and you are at school, and they're only boys, but you know, you're a boy, you want to try things, and then later when you grow up, you settle for a woman. This is what is true for most men in that time. Anyway, so and Nancy doesn't really believe him. It's a bit.
So tell me again. Sorry, I didn't get that. Did you say like we know or we don't know if Tom and Hamish?
We know. We know.
We know. Okay,
we know.
All right. So that is a proper fact.
Yeah.
Okay, right. How do we know that? Like where from?
It was It was just a very common thing, and we have quotes from a great deal of people about how normal this was. This was not regarded as something special at all, and this was not only true for Tom, but also for all the other men Nancy knew. Basically, this circle of friends, the bright young things. It was very, very normal, and being gay. I mean, you couldn't call it that back then, but being gay was. I mean, this was the Roaring 20s, end of the Roaring 20s, beginning of the 30s. It was a very normal thing. And
I mean, Tom puts it like that as well, to sort of like be like, well, yeah, it's a thing boys go through, but you can't say it openly. So because then Nancy challenges him and is like, well, but why wouldn't he say it to me? And then he's like, well, you can't, because then like they might go to prison, which was. That was just the case back then.
Yeah, like Oscar Wilde.
Yes. Yeah, who went to prison for that,
Yeah. So then in the next scene, it is May 1933, and we see Diana's new home at Eaton Square, and it's a very nice home.
Yeah, she lives nicely there. We never see her children, by the way. I mean, like, we saw one of the babies, like, in the first episode, very, very briefly.
Later in the second episode, they go on a walk with the nanny.
Yes, that's her children. Fair enough. Okay, yes. But yeah, she's, like, they're sort of, like, they aren't characters as such. At least not yet.
I mean, we know that she took the children with her. We know she had a nanny. We know that in a very short time she will leave for Germany, and Diana will spend a lot of time in Germany, months on end, and she will not see the children, which is not uncommon in her class, to not really spend a lot of time with your kids. So
they were really small and young, the children back then.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of mothers, like now today, that would be completely unimaginable.
Yeah. I think,
as you say,
I think Diana was 21 when she left her husband. That was the kids were, I think, 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 or something like that. Yeah.
And like she's married him when she was 18, so like they were married more or less for three years, and had those two boys, baby boys.
And Brian made sure that Diana got a nice divorce package. So that house was on him. He wanted her to have that. His father did not want her to have that. Nancy visits her. Nancy visits Diana at her new home against the parents' orders, of course. And
the
Diana
instructions,
and Diana tells her, she's a bit, she's, how do you say?
A bit, yes, I know. She's a bit, confused.
Yeah, confused, excited, but not in a good way, because Oswald's wife had suddenly died. So Diana left her husband Brian to be with Oswald Mosley, knowing fully well that he was married, and he told her, I will not leave my wife. And then the wife dies very suddenly, and they had 3 small children together. Yeah, and this is really how it happened. It happened very quickly.
Yes.
She was in her mid-30s, I think she was 34 or something.
Yeah. And then it cuts to a scene with Jessica, Unity, and Deborah, sort of like in their bedrooms or somewhere, where they read the newspaper article about Oswald Mosley's wife dying, and then next to it is an article about Diana.
And her divorce.
And then like they yes, and her divorce, and they were all sort of like Nancy was saying that the London gossip machine was like going wild, basically.
Understandably, it would be the same
Yes.
today, because when they can pick at something, they will do it, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jessica says like very sort of like very. She knows exactly what's going on, and she says, well, Diana will now be the most hated woman.
Yeah. And she is. She will be much more hated later on. But everybody basically in society blames her for Cynthia Curzon's death because she stole the husband. Even though Oswald Mosley had a lot of affairs with a lot of women, but the timing with Diana leaving her husband was too obvious, and they were not subtle about their relationship. They checked around in the open. So,
among those women, the sister of his wife, of his just deceased wife.
Both
we
of
hear
the
about
sisters.
that in one of the next scenes with them.
Yeah. So Nancy and Diana take a walk with the nanny and the kids, and Di says, "Oh, I don't want to marry again anyway. Being a mistress was fine. I was fine with that."
She's got the best deal. Like she's got Brian's nice house in Eaton Square, a nanny. Like she lives fine. Like why should she? So she says, all the Romans, but no restrictions of being a wife.
Yeah, because the restrictions of her parents' house was what she married away from. That so not having the restrictions that's important to her.
And I mean, she can just leave even the children with the nanny and everything, or Brian, whoever, and go to Germany for months. So like she's free now.
Yeah,
in
and
a way.
She's 22. She's young.
Yes.
She's young. She has a lot of money. Yes. No responsibility.
Yeah, but there is a catch, of course, to a certain degree, because she knows that the sisters of the deceased wife will all blame her.
Yeah, the sisters Oswald had an affair with.
Yeah, and she even says, well, who knows if she and Oswald Mosley will still be a thing. It might all be over.
Yeah.
Who knows how it pans out. Because of the gossip, partly as well. Yeah.
And so then Unity and Decca go to the cinema. And there's a newsreel about Hitler, and Unity is intrigued. And then they have, on the way back from the cinema, they have a talk. They go back and forth about politics.
Yeah.
And
about the two big political sides, or like directions of the time: communism and fascism.
Yeah, which were both very new things. Communism was not. I mean, it was less than 20 years old at this point.
It was almost en vogue to be either one or the other.
Yeah. And fascism was even newer.
Yes, and plus they both of them were like in their rebellious years as well, like in their very formative teenage years. Yeah, where you read a lot and like you swallow all of that. And
and you
want to follow a side.
Yeah, and you want to save the world, and you want to be radical. Yeah, and you think, oh, we will change everything. Yeah. So, and Unity basically says fascism is the only answer we have to the problems of this world. And Decca said, oh, you should read my books about communism, and communism will save the world. And Unity says, no, you should read my books. So, and
like the newsreel they watched said that Hitler has just become the second fascist leader in Europe after Mussolini. So that was then must have been like 30th of January or later of 1933.
And,
Because that is when the Machtergreifung happened.
Yeah. And
the seize of power.
And Unity and Decca kind of agree on we have to get involved. Like, we cannot only read about it, we have to do something and become activists. So then we see the oldest three sisters visit Diana in her very nice house at Eaton Square. I do not get tired of saying that. Again, against the instructions of their parents, they cannot know about this. And Unity,
Muv knows about it. Sorry, Muv knows about it.
She knows about it, but she's ignoring it. Like, she's pretending not to know.
Yes.
So, and Unity defends Oswald. Because the others are like, yeah, they are not convinced about this whole Oswald situation. And then Hamish drops in at Diana's house. This was all a bit too much of a... This was a bit clumsily put together, I think. So the sisters leave and leave Nancy alone so she can talk to Hamish, who bounces it in and says, "Oh, I have something important to tell you, and I'm going to get married to another woman."
Yes. So, but the thing is actually that in the other scene earlier, Tom said to Nancy, "Well, like, I told Hamish not to get in touch with you and not to see you anymore." Because basically Tom, as a good brother in a way, tried to help Nancy to sort of, I don't know, like, just get away from him and like get him out of her mind. And then he said, well, the only reason why he would see you again is when he's bought a ring and he's actually going to propose.
Yeah.
So, and then that is what poor old Nancy expects to happen, that he comes to find her, to see her again. So he must have a ring. He's finally proposing to her. And then he has some big news, but it's not that.
Yeah.
So that is kind of like big disappointment.
Yeah, because he has always told her, "I will never marry another woman, only you." And then he bounces in and says, "I will marry this so-and-so woman." And Nancy cannot believe it. And her immediate answer is, "But she's so stupid."
Stupid!
And then she basically shouts him out of the house, as she should.
Yeah, she's very much outraged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we know was that around the time roughly, sort of in early 1933?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like, things are happening so much in parallel, and like with all these big political things happening in Germany and across Europe at the time. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So Hamish is out. He has always been useless. And he will not be back this time. We know that for sure.
Okay, yeah. Do we know if he's getting married to this Kit Dunn?
Yeah, he did.
Is she American? The name sounds American. Like, it doesn't sound like a British upper class name.
I don't know. It was not important. Okay. Hamish did not go on to have an impressive life. He was useless. He was kind of a snobbish gay version of her father. And the man Nancy did end up marrying also was useless as her father. So she really had a thing for useless man. So, sorry to say.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Hamish is gone and he will not be back.
Good.
And that means that Nancy can go on, finally. Because he's
out
of the picture.
At least she can move on now.
Yeah.
And that is sort of pretty much what people tell her. Yeah. People close to her.
Then we have a very short scene. Diana and Nancy sleep together in a bed. Presumably
they share a bed.
Yeah, they share a bed, and they are both very sad about their private lives.
Yes, and they're taking it with humor, and like Diana makes Nancy laugh a bit, and then both of them laugh and try to cheer each other up.
Yeah. So
it's a sweet scene, a sweet sister scene.
that next thing we see is Unity walking into the headquarters of the British Union of Fascists, demanding to become an activist. Hooray!
Yep.
So she wants to join the party, and she passionately tells these people that she read all the theory and all the books and all the speeches, and she loves Mosley and Hitler and Mussolini, and she wants to become actively involved. And they are so impressed, especially when she tells them that she is a Mitford. Everyone goes like,
yes. That is a head turner, a proper head turner. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you see
and
that?
She's doing a great job. She's doing a great job at being an activist. We'll see that later.
Yeah. Did you see that in the background? They the men were boxing.
Yes. Yeah.
So they were. I don't know why they would have a boxing ring in the headquarters of a political party, but it was a very, this manly thing. Yeah. Later on, we will see Oswald. Mostly fencing. He was very, very good at fencing. So all this, very visibly manly things. It was very highlighted. Yeah, it's very highlighted around the fascists. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the British Fascist Union, they seem to have had a female division or something, and then they sent kind of Unity around it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the German fascists had that as well. I mean, they used the women as tools, just in another way they did the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, they knew how to make them feel important.
Yeah, give them a job, give them a uniform, give them a wang. Yeah. So.
Good, all right. Then we see next scene is... Nancy is at a very nice, stylish bar and meets Joss, her friend, who's kind of trying to cheer her up a bit, I guess, and tries her again. Well, this guy Hamish was useless, and Nancy's going, the public humiliation, and then very, very quickly, Peter Rudd appears, and Joss kind of interprets or understands. I don't know if it was set up. Who knows? We don't know. But kind of he leaves very quickly. It's like, wow. Oh. I have two friends who are sort of like close to their 30s. They're both still not married. Let's see. And then they're being introduced to each other.
Peter Rudd introduces himself. Basically, he gives a little speech with all the exposition that we need. So he just rounds out like, I'm blah, 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 blah. I'm the second son. I have no money. I've blah, blah, blah. So it's a very short introduction so that we know and Nancy knows what he is and where he stands and what to expect.
Yeah, and he gets to business so quickly.
Yes, so they meet and they are basically engaged by the end of the scene.
Yes, and they're kissing.
Yeah.
In public. So that is... Do we know how it happened? Let me ask this first.
It was...
Enlighten us.
So Peter Rudd was, as I said before, pretty useless. But he had parents who were rich and they had many contacts, and they always tried to set him up with certain jobs, which he failed at. And if Peter Rudd had wanted
that does sound like Farve.
Yeah, and if he had any kind of ambition and had wanted to have a successful career, he easily could have had that. But he did not have the ambition. He didn't want any of that. He didn't want to work at all. And he was pretty useless. So what happened was that he went around, because maybe his parents told him, you have to get married, you're old enough. He went around asking women to marry him. In society, he went to a party, he got drunk, and he asked around, will you marry me? No. Will you marry me? No. Will you marry me? No. He came to Nancy.
That is actually what happened.
He came to Nancy, and she had just gotten the news about Hamish. And he asked her, will you marry me? And she's like, okay. And then everybody she knows told her, this is not a good idea. Don't do this. This is stupid. Because you're down because of Hamish. You want to get back at him. But this is for life and you will make yourself miserable. And she was like, nah. And so, yeah, she... That's how they met. And he later on told her, they will show this later in the episode, but he told her to her face, you were the only one who said yes. I married you because you said yes.
You were
Everybody
stupid
else
enough
said
to
no.
Shit.
Yeah.
So he actually told her that.
Yeah.
That is actually okay. I thought that was so exaggerated.
No. All the things about this family that you hear when you think this is too much, this is impossibly, this is not true. This somebody on drugs thought this up. No, these are the bits that are true.
I found this so hard
always
to
with
believe.
this family, yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, we know in this scene at the bar, we know already that money will be an issue. It will forever be an issue between them because he's lazy, he does not work. He does have a very high opinion of himself. None of the sisters liked him. Nancy very, very quickly learned that this has been a mistake. He started cheating on her when they were on their honeymoon. But we're not there yet. He has basically proposed. And in this scene, he is very serious. He says, we are grown-ups now. We have to become responsible people and have kids and get married. And this is what she wanted to hear. And she believes him in that moment. And upon seeing that scene, I believed him too.
Maybe he believed it.
Yeah,
because,
maybe he, yeah.
Yeah, he himself might have believed
he thought he could be better, but he was not. So she thinks they want the same thing, but
so the scene ends with a kiss, and I mean like this will probably not have happened. I don't know.
No,
okay, it happened quickly, but like probably not with kissing. Who knows? I found one thing in that very scene that I didn't like for the first time. There's some, and like it might be, maybe it's an ironic thing they're trying to pull off. The music that sets in when they kiss is kind of like cheesy romantic, kind of like like it almost in my head. What happens when I hear that music is like I see glitter and sparkles and kind of confetti and everything. It was a bit too much. Again, it was too much for me personally. That music, also like sort of like mixed with everything going so fast between them and kind of kissing. And it was just like, oh gosh, this is now too much.
Yeah, I think they probably did this to show us that this is how Nancy feels in the moment, because in this moment she thinks this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yes.
So another word about Joss, because this is a character they invented. This person did not really exist, and I don't know why they did this, because they could have just taken the real person Evelyn Vaughn and used him, because he was this person Nancy really had these talks with. We know that.
Evelyn is a he in that case. Okay.
Yeah. The writer who married a woman also called Evelyn, by the way.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, and they
are they both
called,
spelled? Are they both spelled the same way?
Yeah. And Nancy called them he Evelyn and she Evelyn. And they lived together. Evelyn and Evelyn lived in some house, and then Nancy went to stay with him for a while, and the she Evelyn started cheating, and then the marriage broke up very, very quickly. But Nancy stayed friends with him.
Okay.
Yeah, and she there's a book about the letters they wrote each other. They wrote letters for over decades to each other, and he was one of her closest pen pals.
Okay. I mean, if he's a writer, Nancy's a writer. Like, of course, that's the thing they just do, right?
Yeah. And he was as snobbish as she was, yeah. And he was the one who really, all these talks she has with the Joss character, we know from the letters that she had exactly the same talks with Evelyn Vaughan, who was a heterosexual man, but they had never any interest in each other. And what I don't understand is, why didn't they use the real person? Why did they invent a new person?
Yeah, strange.
To fill in this, I don't understand.
Maybe we'll understand later in the series.
Yeah,
to give them the benefit of a doubt, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. So hang on. So and like, do you know by any chance, like, that the Evelyn,
yeah,
kind of like almost sit down Nancy and be like, well, like,
he hated
Hamish
Peter
guy
Watt. He hated Peter.
He hated
Watt. Peter Watt.
No, and Hamish before that.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I would have to look
kind
that
of like
up,
ask her to look like that guy.
Yeah.
Friend of Oscar Wilde's.
Yeah.
Okay. So like they did speak about like intimate-ish things. Okay, good. Funny. Next scene is that very masculine fencing scene where Oswald kind of beats the other guy, and then Diana is waiting for him.
Yeah. A quick word about Oswald, because in the first episode he introduced himself as, "My name is Oswald Mosley. People also call me Tom." Yeah. And I was wondering about that. Why? So I looked up and I thought maybe this is his second name, but it's not. And this is because everybody in his family was called Oswald. They were all called Oswald Mosley. So that... So that what they did, and apparently this is a thing in big families when the same names keep showing up. You know, when the father and the son and the nephew and the grandfather, when everybody's called the same, then they have to come up with other names. So within the family... Fair
enough, I get that.
So within the family, he was called Tom, so nobody would mix him up with the other Oswalds.
Okay, I get that point, but like, why? Like, they always have like a second first name and like usually a third and like whatever. I
don't know.
Why didn't they call him that?
I don't know. They just called him Tom. That was really his nickname.
Do we know what his
mother called him Tom. So Oswald that's the name we use today. Diana never called him Oswald. She called him Kit. I don't know why that is. Yeah. And she called him what I find really strange, that she called him the leader. In her letters, especially when she wrote to her sisters, she said, "Oh, I was out with the leader." I think this is so strange. Yes, exactly. This is so strange to call your partner or your husband this in a letter to your sisters. But anyway, this was a strange family.
Yes, I mean, but like she seems, at least like in the series, she seems to be, and like it kind of makes sense for the real Diana as well. She seems to be drawn to ambitious men, and like that is why she left Brian. He just wasn't ambitious. So like she wants somebody ambitious.
Yeah.
Somebody who kind so is leading the way.
Yeah. So we already talked about how they used nicknames for each other all the time. They use this in the show. They use the nicknames. They did not explain it a lot. And they don't overdo it. You always
they do it.
Yeah, but they don't do it in a way that it confuses you as who is meant.
Yes.
Because it's so. Yeah. They just use it naturally within a sentence. Yeah. And then they just leave it there. But you always know who they refer to.
Who they're talking to, exactly. Yes. Yeah. So and I totally agree. I like it the way they do it as well. Yeah. I like it that they do it, and I like the way how they do it.
Yeah.
Works perfectly.
So I think in the show they all call him Oswald. They did not do that in real life. I think they make this to make it easier for us as the audience to know. Because when they talk about another Tom, we already have Tom Mitford. Then we would
exactly.
Confuse
I was about to say that. Like, if there was a second Tom,
Yeah. So anyway, Oswald is fencing.
And he had asked Diana to come. Mm-hmm. To meet him, not in public, because he can't be seen with her in public right now because of all the gossip. We understand that, so...
And he thanks
her.
What? What does he tell her?
Well, that he needs some fresh air, some fresh French air. I can't, and like I can tell you, I'm in France right now. I'm not getting a lot of fresh air here.
So he will. What he basically says is, I will spend the summer in France visiting my dead wife's sister. That's what he tells her. In nicer words, but that's what he tells her. And she knows what this means when he tells her, because she asks him who you're going with. And
Yeah.
They
says Alexandra.
Alexandra, and
she knew the name, of course. We don't, but then she reveals.
This really happened. They went on a big, long holiday. And Diana was, in the scene, she is very cool. She's very composed.
Composed?
She's very, like, she's wearing her mask. She's like, okay, and walks out, and then she falls. We know that what really happened was that she went, they had a huge fight. So, but here they wanted to show her as being very cool and composed, but only on the outside. On the inside, it looks much different.
And we get a glimpse of the inside, sort of, like in a bit of a metaphoric way, because after she's left Oswald, like we kind of see her leaving him, like giving him very much the cold treatment, and kind of just, and then she walks down the stairs, and then she slips down the stairs in a quite, well, falling down the stairs is never dignified. And she starts crying, but then she kind of pulls herself back together again, puts on her sunglasses,
and she's cool again.
And walks on.
So then we see Nancy and Peter having a picnic, and it's
summer. It's summer. Beautiful.
They have fun, and he asks her about her being a virgin. And I did not like this because this is the third person in 2 episodes who asked her the same question. I think it's very odd to write this into the script so many times. It has been mentioned even more times that she's a virgin. It came up repeatedly, but this is the third person in 2 episodes who asked her the exact same questions. Did you have sex with Hamish? And I think this is really odd we already have this information. Why would you bring it up again and again? Like Tom asked her earlier in the episode, and then someone else, and I think Joss in the first episode. And this was just, for me, this was just too much focus on her virginity. Why? I mean, why? Why the fuck? I mean, come on.
Do we know if it was a big topic for her? From her letters?
No, we do not know.
So she didn't discuss it that.
No, that's not from anything I read. Not that it was in the letters or anything. But I mean, the thing is, what do you gain from? I mean, it is almost line by line. It's identical the third time that it comes up. And to me, the question I had was, why would you repeat it 3 times in an identical manner? And information we already had as an audience. That was a bit clumsy, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like the feeling I got from it was that they wanted to put in the sense of, well, that men can have sex, of course, before marriage, and women can't. But like that is, I found it quite unnecessary as well. Yeah, very much so. And we have that music again, that romantic kind of the over the top. Yeah.
So, but Nancy and sex will become a topic later in the episode.
Yes.
So first we see Unity. She comes into Diana's house at Eaton Square.
So So next scene, yes, like we kind of like hear that Farve, so Father David Mitford, capitulated and kind of like gave in and said, well, okay, Diana is my daughter after all. That's how it gets introduced.
He always gave in. He always gave in. It just didn't matter what he thought. He was just something you had to work around for a while.
Yeah, which is pretty much what Nancy said. Or Unity, someone said it, yeah.
So Unity comes by at Diana's house to change into her black shirt because she's a member of the party now and she's handing out leaflets being an activist. And she's very enthusiastic about being a fascist. So an official fascist now.
Yes, yeah. A quick word just to add, sort of the British Fascist Union had, of course, kind of copied the black shirts from the German fascists.
From the German brown shirts. It was brown shirts.
From the brown shirts, yes, of course, yeah.
So, and Diana tells her, well, I have the divorce money now, like I'm loaded. And would you come to Germany with me? I'm going. And this is, Unity is very excited about this. I thought this was very surprising move for Diana because there is nothing that indicated earlier that she was interested in going to Germany, she was interested in we heard that she supports Oswald in his political career in the party, but going to Germany is another matter because this is and that she would go there without him.
Sentence.
Yeah.
We are. I believe, if I remember correctly, I feel we are getting one sentence from her when she meets Oswald at the fencing, and she says, "Well, after Hitler's big success in Germany," which was very impressive. And then Oswald is like, "Yeah, very." Like she kind of, I don't know, almost seems to play a little bit with like, "Ooh, like maybe I'll find impressive men in Germany as well." It's sort of. But it's a hint. It's a bit of a hint.
Yeah, and Oswald is not there. He's still on his holiday. And she has nothing to do. It's summer, and she's doesn't know what to do. And it's August. The Parteitag, the Reichsparteitag in Nuremberg was in August every year. And then she surprises Unity with the offer to take her along. They had VIP tickets. And Diana paid for everything. But in the way it is presented, the decision to go there was very surprising, I think. Yeah. Because it is one thing to support your man at home in his, political career as he tried to move up in your nation. But it's another thing to go without him to another country just to watch.
I mean, I had the feeling that she just wanted to get out as well and like get some fresh air, just not in France.
Yeah,
that was the sense I got from it. And then she saw like Unity was standing right in front of her, like with her black shirt on, and she was like, "Well, should I show you the OG black shirts?" Yeah. That was the feeling I got.
It's just as we move along the episodes, I get the feeling that they rush very, very quickly through things, and my fear is that this will become even worse, and they start jumping ahead to the next big plot point without explaining properly how we got there. This is the fear that I have. And we know that in the third episode, Unity is already in Berlin and she's already out to meet Hitler. So this is a big jump from where we are at the moment. And when you jump along the plot lines without explaining that properly, you get into trouble. Sooner or later you get into trouble because you lose the audience. So this is, I mean, we're not there yet. This is just a fear that I have that this might happen because we only have 6 episodes.
Yeah. We are definitely moving very, very fast. Yeah, undoubtedly. Yeah.
So, next scene.
Yes.
Peter Watt, off-screen, asks Farve to marry Nancy. And Farve agrees. But the important thing that goes on here is that Nancy waits in front of the door with her mother. And her mother very much asks her, do you think this is a good idea? And Nancy is like, yeah. And we can see that her mother does not think this is a good idea, but she keeps her mouth shut.
Yeah. Where are they? I didn't quite remember.
I didn't understand where they were. Because we see the outside of a building, which reminded me very much at the scenes in The Crown when the Prime Minister comes up to Buckingham Palace and gets out of the car to meet the Queen, which she does every week. And this looked like the entrance of the Buckingham Palace as in The Crown series.
So you know, like I was wondering if this might be the House of Lords actually, because like we very very briefly see a sign saying no ladies beyond this point.
You're right. Because he's in the Lords. But why didn't he just go to them at their home? And yeah, it's not explained that they are in the House of Lords. No. I just got this now because you explained it to me.
Yeah. Like it doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't really, I don't know, matter. I mean, like they are sort of. It was also Tom was with them. So like it's Farve, David Mitford, the father,
the mother,
Peter Rod.
Yeah.
And then Tom, the brother, Nancy's brother, and like the three of them are like behind closed doors, and like there's no ladies allowed. That's like what we see.
Yeah. I thought it was because I was wondering where they are while it happened.
Yeah. It might. It might have also been like a gentleman's club. Could also well be a gentleman's club.
Yeah, but the question is why? Allowed. Why would you go somewhere to ask him, can I marry your daughter? They could have just done this at home.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe because they were in London and they like the Mitfords were living in the damp London flat.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
So it's not explained. Anyhow, the mother knows this is not a good idea. She doesn't say so. The father agreed. Nancy is happy. So Nancy is very happy, and then we quickly move on to the next scene. And Nancy has the sex. It's happening. So good for her, you might think, but the look on her face. Nah, she had expected something better. And then
and I mean his comment.
It's not good. Yeah, say it.
Was you'll get the hang of it.
That's so bad.
You just need to relax.
That's so bad.
Yay.
Yeah, it just was what you
want to hear. It's
not
my fault, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Your fault.
Yeah. Oh, he's so useless.
And I mean you can pretty much imagine that. Like this is probably, I mean, he would not have seen any fault in his. We don't know how their sex went, by the way, but.
No. But the scene is, I mean, you really feel with Nancy. Poor girl.
Yeah.
She deserved better.
Yes. And and like it's the guy who plays Peter Rod like is totally kind of in that personality as well. Just like, you get the hang of it. Like,
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. Very much dismissing her. It's like it's super convincing.
Yeah.
In a sad way.
And then he tells her his plan for the financial future is that they will live off both their parents. He basically says, my parents give me a little bit, and I hope you will get to keep your allowance, because otherwise we will be poor. Because he does not seem to be keen on contributing. And then he tells her flat out, you will need to write a real bestseller. Yay! So now she basically, he counts on her being the breadwinner. And all she gets is bad sex. I mean, that is just...
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So something dawns on her.
And I mean, like, we should add as well, like this is before they're getting married.
Yeah.
But they're having sex, and like then because the marriage is kind of announced officially, it's not officially okay, of course not, but unofficially,
yeah,
it's fine.
But her face tells us that something dawns on her already. Like, oh, maybe this was a mistake.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
So
very telling face. Yep. And then complete change of scenery.
Out of the country.
We go to Nuremberg, Germany. It is September. It's 1933.
It's the Nuremberg Rally always happened every year in August, September. 1933, Dignity and Unity are at the Nuremberg Rally for the first time, very much not the last time. And there are lots and lots and lots of swastika flags and all the uniforms.
Yes, yeah.
And
I mean,
well, how did you like the scene? Tell me. Same. You were not convinced.
Exaggerated. Fine. Yeah, it felt exaggerated. Like the women that were standing there looked very German. Like with kind of, I don't know, braided hairs and then kind of like put up in a kind of circular way. Yeah, they were very excited. And to be fair, you know what, like it must have felt like I felt for Unity and Diana. I mean, they went to a completely different country, completely different kind of atmosphere. Obviously, they had never seen such a thing. Like I don't think they had ever been to a similar event, like with such masses of people.
No, there was no such thing.
Probably.
These things didn't happen before Hitler came along. Nowhere.
Yeah. It's like it naturally, like it caused a big impression on both of them. And like a positive one. They both liked it. They loved it. I mean, Unity was blown away. And I mean, we know that Unity was blown away. Because she's writing about it and she keeps on coming back. She's kind of like, it's like a drug almost. And like, it's like, that's why I almost forgive the exaggerated way of how it was portrayed. And like, it must have felt to the people back then, it must have felt that way as well. Like whether you were a foreigner or not.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel it was exaggerated because they really had all these flags and all the uniforms and all the torches and everything. That making the show, that was a very Nazi thing. That was part of the appeal, very much. I just thought the way this was presented looked very cheap. I think it had a very different feel to it than all the other scenes, because you could see that they did not have the money to really stage it. And with more money, you could have done this on a grand scale. I mean, you see Unity and Diana standing next to each other, and there are a row of guys in uniform in front of them, and you do not even see their faces properly. You only see the focus very much on the uniforms and the flags in the background, and then you see a mass of people, which is not many people. It's supposed to be a mass of people, but it's only like 5 people really. The woman with braids, and then in the far distance there is a very big stage with a very tiny blurry figure that is supposed to be Hitler, I guess, who makes a speech. So you do not see Hitler really. You do not see how big the thing was. We know that what the scene, the purpose of the scene is to give you a feeling of how magnificent, how blowing away this thing was, and we get this from Unity's face. We do not get this from what we see.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it was done a bit poorly, which of course was because of a lack of budget, but still it was...
They had a quite restricted budget.
Yeah,
Sadly,
so,
sadly, yes.
Many people shout Sieg Heil, Sieg Heil, and then we have a Wagner kind of music. It was not really Wagner, I think, but it sounds Wagner-esque, I think. And Unity is totally sold. I thought the scene was done in a very strange way. We see the way Diana and Unity come into the ground, to the Parteitag ground. They're in a tunnel, and at first you don't know where they are. And it looks very much, the feel about this is very different than all the feel we have in the rest of the scenes.
Fair enough, I agree.
So maybe I'm oversensitive here because I researched this whole thing and all the Nazi history so well and so on, but within the show this felt out of place, and that it bothered me.
I mean, it's yes, I understand. I mean, it is, in a way, it is out of place as well, and like that's probably like why I don't know why people might be a bit more forgiving because it's in a different country and a different I don't know. But I know what you're saying. I agree. Yeah.
So, but anyway, Unity is sold. She's a proper fascist.
Yes,
now, so.
and yes, and sort of like just to remind people again, like he was so. Adolf Hitler was had become, like, historic background, had become the Reichskanzler of Germany.
The Chancellor.
On 30th of January in 1933, which pretty much is the role of the today's Chancellor, or well, the kind of like the leader, the government leader. And then that is sort of like was a very, very important point in time, in the sense that like because he had all the power, he had seized the power, and then he started using it very much. So
by
getting
rid of democracy very quickly.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes. That went very quickly. And little fun fact, just because Adolf Hitler was stateless for 7 years, from 1925 to 1930, end of 1932. No, sorry, beginning of 1932. And like he had only become, or like he was only granted a German citizenship. Like back in the day, there didn't even exist such a thing as German citizenship, because Germany was still broken up in different states. It's like he had tried to get for 7 years, or longer even, to get citizenship of one of the states, and like nobody really wanted him. Like he was a bit like persona non grata, you know, like too hot to touch almost. The Austrians back in the day, like Adolf Hitler had renounced Austrian citizenship, and like in 1925.
Oh, he did? I did not know that.
Yeah, he had renounced it. He was like, I've always felt the German, like, you Austrians suck. Like
I did not know that.
Bye, ciao, I'm off. Like
he became stateless.
I don't want to be one of
by choice.
Yeah. So he, yes. Yeah, no, he renounced it, and the Austrians were good riddance. Bye, ciao, and they were like, well, he's never felt, because he had attempted, I feel like, to get a German citizenship even before he had renounced it, and like by the grounds that like because he had never served in the Austrian military. On the contrary, like the Austrian military kind of like he was like, to conscript him, they had tried to conscript him and kind of like pull him into obligatory military service, and he kind of basically ran off and ran away from it. And like the reasons for it are kind of mixed. Like it's a bit weird, because then like several years later, like he fought for the German army in the First World War, and like he was even awarded several medals for kind of like, I don't know, his bravery and whatnot. And then that was also like the reason why the Austrians said, like, we're not taking this guy back. Like he's one of you Germans now. You sort it out amongst you German states who takes him. He's certainly not our responsibility anymore. It's like it might have been a combination of Adolf Hitler trying to sort of, maybe initially he might have run away from the military service. Partly he might have also felt that, like, because it was back then, it was still Austro-Hungary, the Austrian-Hungarian Reich, right?
Yeah.
And like, so he felt like it was kind of tainted by these Slavics potentially, and it was not just Hungary. Back then, it was like what then became Yugoslavia, Croatia, all that, and like he might have felt that it was tainted by that, and like that the Germans, the proper Germans, and like more, I don't know, not tainted that much.
Yeah.
Weird. Yes. Yeah. So, and then he only gained, he tried in several different German states to get citizenship. Nobody wanted him for years. And some even tried to deport him back to Austria.
Yeah.
The Austrians were like, nope, too late.
Yeah, because let's not forget that he had been imprisoned because he had staged a failed coup. So he was imprisoned in Germany for trying to take over the government and abolishing democracy 10 years prior. So that's why nobody wanted to touch him.
Yes, he had staged the Hitler, like in Germany we call it the Hitler putsch. In English it's usually known as the Beer Hall putsch.
Yeah, I think it was 1923. Yeah, it was 10 years before.
In Munich. Very much in Munich.
Yeah.
We exactly know the corner where it was. You cycle past there all the time.
And people died.
Yeah. Yes, people did die. Yeah.
And he went to prison, not unlike Donald Trump, who tried the same thing, and people died, and he did not go to prison. And he's back.
Yeah. Adolf Hitler went to prison, yes. But then he came back stronger than he was before.
But he was not in prison for long. He was sentenced for much longer. He came out after a year, I think. And he used his time
he didn't
well.
Suffer in prison.
No, and he used the time to write the book, Mein Kampf.
His book, yes, he did. And like he did not suffer at all. Like he had female visitors. Like I don't think for sex, but like they were all his female fans.
Not
like he was growing his female fan base. No. And I mean like Hitler had a strange relationship with sex. Yeah. Anyways, never mind. Different topic. But like they all brought him kind of like strudels. And like Adolf Hitler had a sweet tooth. He loved his cakes and strudels. And the ladies were like, "Ooh, I can bake a cake, let me bring," and kind of like go to prison. They cycled there, and bring dear Mr. Hitler, den lieben Herrn Hitler, a nice little cake. And he loved it. And like he gained quite a lot of weight while in prison because of that. And then struggled a bit after and like wanted to lose it again because he knew this wasn't quite a manly thing and kind of like the Aryan, kind of like the ideal thing. He was very conscious of that.
And also he had his bros with him as well because he was not the only one. He was sentenced because of the coup. So he had all his first line with him in prison. So they spent the days eating cake, eating strudel, debating, playing cards. And he dictated his book,
and planned for the future and writing manifests. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then so Adolf Hitler became finally a German, like a citizen of the state of which one is it? The city of Braunschweig.
Mm-hmm.
And right before he was trying to be elected as the German Reichspräsident. The president, which is more of a ceremonial role, but like still sort of like the president would then appoint, like it would have still been a powerful role in some way. And like just before that, like someone managed, I don't know, to pull some strings, to pay someone off, whatever happened, to make him a German citizen.
Because otherwise he would not have been able to push for this position.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So like, because you cannot become the president
or
a chancellor if you're not a citizen. And then he didn't become chancellor at that point, which was in February 1932. But then he tried, of course, for the next election that was coming up, which was the one as the Reichskanzler, the chancellor. And he very much was successful with that on the 30th of January 1933. And then, shit began to grow in Germany.
Yeah, and it just got worse from here. So,
yeah. Good. Back to the Mitfords. So, like, they are at the very first party conference.
I don't know if it was first. I don't think it is.
No.
No, I would have
Okay.
to look that up. I think it was the year prior that was the first. But anyhow, it did make a big impression.
yes.
They did have the Parteitag-Gelände in Nuremberg, big ass area, very impressive.
Huge.
And unity is sold at this point not only of fascism in general, but of German fascism specifically. So this is how she became a Hitler fangirl in this moment. She has heard about him, she had read all about him, but to see him in action, this is when she fell in love with him.
It was like
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, and all the angels singing.
In its own weird way.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
fascist brown angels singing.
So,
Well,
let's move
good.
away from
That's what
Nuremberg.
happened. Yes. Back to the country house in England, in Oxfordshire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of the Mitfords.
So
Pam and the wedding preparations are going on.
yeah,
And Pam receives a parcel with wedding gifts.
Nancy.
Sorry, Nancy, yes.
So wedding gifts start coming in, and Nancy kind of complains about getting too many vases, and she says, "Oh, we will be so poor. We will be so poor." And
We'll have nothing to sit on, but we'll have 50 different vases.
yeah, and Decca, of course, she argues for social justice and says, "You will not be poor." And I mean, not poor. And then Nancy says, "Yeah, we will not be poor, but we will not be rich." And this is, I think, how the family in general felt. They felt they were poor. And when Decca brings up the example of the woman who has, I don't know, only half a shilling to live on with her 5 kids and her husband dead.
Yeah.
She's like, this is poor. This is really a poor woman. Yeah. And you still have your 15 vases. We could sell all these vases and you will be fine. So this is just a different scale that you're using here. And she shoves that into Nancy's face. So
Yeah. And like that is probably also what happened
yeah.
at the house. That they had these sort of arguments, fights.
Yeah.
Well, or not fights, kind of like just challenges.
Yeah, I mean, Decca.
And then like we get and we get a first glimpse of Decca sort of like becoming like thinking of getting more and more active as well. She's like, we should be marching, we should be campaigning, we should go to soup kitchens.
Yeah, and we should
all that.
sell all this shit and give the money to the socialist cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the way she's thinking. And
and
she was the odd one out, of course, because her family has been like this for hundreds of years, and they have very much were on the advantage of the system as it was. And she was like, we should change this. Inherited wealth is not the way to go. And the whole family is like, well, we have nothing else. This is what we do.
And Mov, so the mother, actually says that as well. Well, this is just how life is. Life isn't fair. And like that's why it's important to appreciate and value what you have, even your 25 to 50 vases.
Yeah.
So
that
was the vibe.
In the scene, Unity returns home from Germany, and then she tells her sisters.
And she looks different.
She looks different.
The sisters say
she tells
she
her
looks
sister about Nuremberg, and she says it was like an ocean of love.
Yes, yeah, I noted that down as well.
Yeah,
floating in an ocean of love.
And all the other sisters gather around to listen to her, and Decca says, "No, Nazis are bullies." And Nancy says a very good thing. She says, "You sound like a cult member." And that is pretty much spot on. Yeah. It is spot on for Nazis. This is spot on for Trump's fans.
Yeah.
Same kind of vibe. Yeah. So, and this is the scene that starts the schism between Decca and Unity. Yeah. This is where they kind of split.
And and Unity replies, "Well, this was the first time in my life I felt alive."
Yeah. So,
and she felt that this is her destiny. And she says an interesting other thing. She says she sort of very much feels very similar to Germany, because Germany was so down, like the downtrodden Germany in Europe. that is what she feels like. But she shall rise, just as Germany shall rise.
Yeah. So for her, there's no going back. There's no U-turn anywhere in her future. No.
And this is absolutely what the actual unity felt as well.
Yeah.
So this was the thing, the big deal.
Yeah. Diana returns home from Nuremberg too, of course. And we saw her returning, and she kind of bumps into Oswald at the train station. I thought this was a bit clumsy, because you do not. Things like this don't really happen. Come on, this was a bit lazy writing, I think. So they bump into each other by chance at the train station, and they reconcile. Apparently he came home from his holiday with his dead wife's sister, and for some reason we do not get an explanation for this. He tells Diana, "Oh, I only wanted you, and I want to be with you again," and then she takes him back. So there is no motive for why he would have changed. You know.
Remind me again, like he didn't only the sister of his dead wife, he also the mother of his dead wife.
And the other sister. No, not the mother, the stepmother. The mother was dead.
The stepmother. Yeah. Sorry, not
the stepmother was much younger than the mother.
Yes.
But with one of the sisters, it was only a short-term thing. The other one, it was very much long. So this was a parallel affair between Diana and this Alexandra. That's where the jealousy came from, because only one of them could come out on top, of course.
Yeah. So with that scene, I also felt like it gets set, like Diana initially gives him like the cold treatment, but then I don't know, like the only thing he needs to say is "I love you and only you," and then they kiss, and then we have that music again.
Yeah.
And then they get into the car together and drive off, and that's it. Like that was just, I felt like.
Yeah, it felt like a first sketch version of a scene where they said, "Oh, we have to have a scene where they reconcile," and they couldn't come up with something good, so they filled in some blueprint, like they kind of meet, and by the end of the scene it's okay again, and then they never worked over and just got with what they had. This is what it felt like. It was clumsily written, because the first episode was more cleverly written. I think they didn't have. It was not clumsy like this in the first episode.
Agreed.
So.
Like it also felt fast and like borderline rushed, maybe, but not that. Not as in the second episode.
Yeah. So the next scene. We're coming to the end. The next scene is the last scene before the final scene, the day before the wedding. Nancy's wedding. Things move fast here.
Yeah. We're at the Suburban house.
Yeah, and
which they will move into or already have actually.
Or kind of they are they are currently moving in. Peter's not there. He's at work. At this moment, he has work, and he's going to work. Not much longer. And Nancy kind of shrubs her new rented home in the suburbs. She cleans everything. She paints everything. For the first time in her life, she's doing real housework. She's very proud and pleased with herself. Diana comes to visit, and Nancy tells her, "Oh, we have no maid. I have to do everything with my own hands."
But she enjoys it. She also says she enjoys it.
Yeah, because when you do it for the first time, you enjoy it. You will not enjoy it after 27 years.
You do it constantly. Yeah.
So she did the cleaning, and the wedding is tomorrow. And Nancy tells Diana they talk about Oswald a bit, and Nancy says, "I don't like the black shirts. I don't like them. The vibe is not mine." And Diana's like, "Oh, please, for me, please meet him. Meet Oswald. He's so sweet. And meet him with an open mind, and maybe you will change your mind." And Nancy agrees to it because she's a good sister. Nancy, by the way, in the show, as she comes across, she is much nicer than she was in real life.
Okay.
Much
real life,
nicer. Yeah, because they want us to
she
have
was
one
giving more-
sister to sympathize with, who is a prominent figure, because we have not seen much of Pam, we have not seen much of Debo. And Diana and Unity are not someone to sympathize with. The real Nancy was not very nice most of the time. She was constantly teasing her siblings. She was very mean
All
most
of
the
them?
time. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, they were close. She was close with Diana, not with Pam that much, but she was close with Diana for a long time until they split, which will happen soon. But still, she had a very mean streak. She did this, I think, to protect herself. When you mock other people, you cannot let them get at you. I think this was the main motive, but she was feared by her siblings. They even had an anti-Nancy club. Everyone joined except for Nancy. So this was a
Even
common
Tom,
thing.
hang on,
Yeah,
even
she was very
Even Tom.
yeah.
Tom.
So she was very mean to everyone. Not at all times. She could be nice, but I think she was so afraid of being vulnerable that she decided to attack first, and she pretty much used this power that she had, being the oldest sister. Especially Debo was a victim of that. Debo, who was 14 years younger, who was a child. So we do not see that in the show. The actress who plays Debo was 23, but Debo at this 1933, she was, I think, around 10 years old. And Debo was constantly afraid of Nancy. So they deliberately made her nicer so we could sympathize with her as an audience. This is maybe important to know, but she was not as nice.
Absolutely important to know, yes. Yeah. Because, we very much do feel for her through the whole Hamish ups and downs, and like now the Peter Rod ups and downs.
And Peter comes in now in the scene.
Yeah. They have just real quick things like Diana and Nancy have like a very nice, sweet, fun moment again. Briefly, like they laugh together and kind of, I don't know, pretend being old ladies, and like you do see that like there's a bond between them, and like that they seem close. They seem to have an understanding. It's like, and that might be built up then to the rift that comes later.
Yeah. So Peter comes in apparently supposedly from work, but he's drunk. And he comes home and he does not even look at his new home or greets his soon-to-be wife and says, "I need a piss." What a darling.
While Nancy's taking his shoes off.
Yeah. So Diana quickly excuses
trying to be a good housewife
herself. He's piss drunk.
Yeah.
And he tells her he has resigned his job because, well, they're
idiots.
Yeah, they're idiots, and because he's too good for this. Nancy is mad because he's irresponsible, and he talked her into this engagement by saying, "We are at our age, we need to be responsible people now." This is what he basically promised her. And now the day before the wedding, he lets her down on all the promises that he has made her. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
yes.
He doesn't want to work.
Importantly, it's the day before the wedding.
Yeah, he tells her he doesn't want to work at all, and he hits her with the truth. I have mentioned it earlier. When I proposed, I didn't expect you to say yes. It's bad.
But you did say yes.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
So,
he says his words are, "I never thought you'd say yes."
Yeah. And he also says,
and I mean,
"You are the third girl that week I asked to marry me." He is such an useless idiot. There are a lot of useless idiots in this story.
Ooh. Yes, there are, definitely. Yeah. Well, and then, of course, it's the big day. The next day is the big day.
Yeah, the next scene is the last scene at church. Nancy and Farve are in a
We see the family sort of like having photos taken in front of the church and everything, and then Nancy and Farve in the car.
In the Rolls-Royce. I mean, they are not poor, but they are not rich, but they still have the Rolls-Royce, of course. And they're on the way to church, and Nancy has doubts, but goes through with it anyway. So and this is
so they have a sweet little scene, like a daughter-father scene right before the wedding. But Nancy goes through with it.
Yeah, she asks her father.
And we don't see the wedding.
She asks her father, "Do you like him?" And he dodges the question, says, "Is it important if I like him?" So, which basically means no, I don't. So, and then we do not see the wedding. It's not important to see the wedding, I think.
No.
And
we see both of them getting out of the car and like kind of standing in the opening. So like we are looking from the aisle at them while they are sort of from the outside approaching the aisle, and then Nancy kind of like takes on the narrating role again.
So that's it. That was the second episode.
And she says, "Amazing what a girl will do on the rebound."
Yeah,
and that is that.
Shoot herself in the leg, apparently.
Yeah. And that was episode 2.
So, and how do we feel about episode 2?
That they're really pacing it. They continue to pace it as we thought they might. Most of it is still, again, like really, really nicely, beautifully shot. Like it's the light and camera work is great. I tend to agree now with the whole Nuremberg rally scene. I mean, they still kind of brought across like the whole feeling of it. Yeah, what's the impression made on unity, and that is great. The actors are all absolutely believable.
Yeah,
I feel I'm kind of trying to think if there's an odd one out. I don't even know. Don't think there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still I'm excited for episode 3.
I also think the acting, the coming to life of the characters is very well done.
Yes.
The whole vibe, the whole atmosphere is very well done. They rush through the story very quickly because they have to with only 6 episodes, but I think it might start becoming a problem when you only check your boxes and leave no space for the in-between, but we'll see how this will play out. We have not seen Pam in this episode. There was no Pam. I mean, apparently, we did see her face, but there was no Pam moment.
No, no, there wasn't. Neither Debo.
Yeah, Debo will be a bit more prominent next episode, I know. Next episode will take us to Germany again, because Unity will move there. So things happen really, really quickly here. And next episode will involve Unity heading to the Osteria Bavaria for the first time to stalk Adolf Hitler. Not shot on location. It isn't very much not the real Osteria Bavaria. It also isn't very much not Germany that they show. That doesn't have to be a problem. But things move very, very quickly.
Yes, which could be more of a problem. I agree. To sort of like kind of take it all in, and like follow each of those characters like on their emotional journey. I mean, fair enough. Like they at the London premiere, they had told me that they had to work with the budget they had, so like they couldn't afford going to Germany. So like they shot it all in England, which is fine. And like you can make it work.
Yeah. But still, when you see Germany in a movie, you will know that this is Germany, and with other countries as well. It just looks different. The houses just look different. Yeah. But this does not have to be a problem in the show.
Yeah. Yes. And I mean, like they did say, like, oh, please don't judge us for like if you're from Munich, like you will very much realize that, because there seemed to be some street scenes later on. She was like, you'll very much immediately see that this is not Germany.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, like let's see, let's find it out. Like you can still do it in a smart way, I think. And like if like I'm fine to excuse it if they had released a restrictive budget. There's only so much you can do. Yeah. Be creative with it.
But I hope we will see more of Pam, because there was really not much of her at this point. This was very Nancy and Diana focused so far.
And Unity.
And Unity a bit, yeah. So
a bit of Jess,
I'm excited for what will happen from here. It is a very enjoyable show. It is very entertaining to watch. I think we've been very a little bit harsh in our critique today, but still I really, really enjoyed the episode, I have to say. Despite some things that I critiqued. So. They totally make up for the fast storytelling and like some of lack of finances, maybe by like really, really strong art department again, and like the creative thinking about like how they use locations, hair, makeup, costumes, smashing, and like also all the interiors and or like exteriors, everything. That car was also probably not cheap to get, the car at the church. And fantastic acting. I must say. And also, if you, the show in 6 episodes, you can only do a quick overview, basically. So if you want to know more about everything they left out, you will have to find a podcast on the internet to listen to you, because after we have covered on the 6 episodes of the show, we will take deep dives into all the family members, into all the sisters. It will be various episodes for each sister, because there's so much to uncover. And as we heard today, the bits where you think, oh no, this is not possibly true. Yes, it is, and there is so much more. There is so much more. And we will get into all of this in our future episodes, so stay tuned for that. Yes. It's I always have to laugh, because like the when Outrageous, like when an episode starts in the beginning, it starts off with kind of like reminding people this is a true story. And I mean, there were several instances again today, like in that second episode, where I was like, hang on, like, can't possibly be true. But no, it is. So definitely, like, there is one place where you hear all about it. It's this podcast here, the Raiders of the Lost Archive. We will give you everything. When we say in the intro, this is the most in-depth coverage of the Mitford sisters in the entire internet, we mean it. Good things are coming. You get it all here. Exactly. So, anything you would like to add? Anything we didn't touch on? No. Fine. Then we will call it a day. Not for me. Thank you very much, you lovely people out there. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. I hope you had some fun. I hope there were some interesting bits, some good revelations in one way or the other. We hope Adolf Hitler being stateless for 7 years is my favorite. And we hope you will be back with us next week when we do a recap of episode 3. Have a wonderful week. Yeah. And bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for being with us.